I was just a good-for-nothing thug, the kind everyone wrote off, but somehow I fell for class's good girl. Willow. She had this radiant, diligent energy, the kind that made everyone else seem dull in comparison. And me? I was the exact opposite. Yet, against all reason, I wanted her. She liked the bright, sunny boy who smiled easily, who studied hard, who played life the right way. So I did what I had to do. I slipped on a harmless disguise, said just enough sweet things, and slowly, carefully, tried to draw her in. Step by step, I thought I was winning. But just when I thought I had her, someone new showed up, a transfer student, as sudden as a storm, claiming they wanted to redeem me. Redeem me? As if I had time for anyone trying to interfere in my pursuit of her. My morning started rough. That day, my dad was drunk again, stumbling into the house like a wrecking ball of anger. I'd learned a long time ago that the only way to survive his rages was to brace myself. I punched my own cheek in the mirror, sharp pain flaring just right, leaving a small red mark at the brim of my cap would hide. The living room chaos continued, but I locked myself away and slept through it, unbothered by the kicks, curses, and crashing glass. Morning came, and there I was, inspecting the bruise in the mirror. Perfect, hidden under my cap. I grabbed my bag and ran out the door. That's when I saw her, Willow, crossing the street in her autumn jacket, sipping her warm breakfast milk, cheeks glowing in the soft morning light. The sun caught her fair skin in a way that made my chest tighten. I froze, heart skipping, and my instinct was to hide. I pushed my cap down, but in doing so, I revealed my bruised cheek. "Good morning," she started, and then stopped, her gaze flicking to the mark on my face. Her lips parted, her expression soft with worry, and I felt my breath hitch. I tried to act casual, turning my head, but every evasive glance I practiced in front of my mirror betrayed me. She stepped closer, gently touching the bruise with a delicate fingertip. It didn't hurt much, but I hissed quietly, letting the moment linger. "Your dad, he hit you again last night?" she asked, voice soft and worried. What she didn't know was that ever since I stood up to him years ago, he never dared to touch me. Now it was just drunken shouting and broken things. I'd learned early that in a world with no one to protect you, you had to become the storm that others feared. But Willow, she could never like me like that. She had always loved the warm, gentle type, not someone like me. "Does it hurt?" she asked again, her voice full of sympathy. I didn't answer. I just smiled bitterly, steering the conversation elsewhere. Only 1 year left until the college entrance exam. I muttered, letting the words hang between us. She nodded, lost in her reading comprehension as always, imagining a future free from family burdens, a life that belonged to her alone. But I was already planning how to keep her by my side, how to make the next year, the next step, ours together. Willow was too soft-hearted, too trusting, and I was too selfish to let that go. I lowered my voice, coaxing her, pleading without admitting it. "Let's take the college exam together. Step by step, I'll follow you, and maybe I'll learn to be someone you'd like. At least until you find someone you truly love." The clouds parted, and golden sunlight spilled over the street, bathing her in warmth. Through the noise of the vendors and the hum of the morning, I caught the curve of her lips as she spoke. "Then you'll have to work hard to keep up with me." Just like that, she agreed. My heart soared, but the moment didn't last. Because then Sophia arrived, the new transfer student, her eyes fixed on me as if she'd come for nothing else. And suddenly, my carefully laid plans felt a little less certain. The moment Sophia stepped into the classroom, it felt like the world tilted slightly. Her eyes locked onto me, sharp and unyielding, like a radar tracking its target. Before the teacher could even settle her, she spoke up, asserting her choice of seat. "Isn't there an empty spot next to the boy by the window in the last row? I'll sit there for now." And just like that, she was coming for me. I paused mid-writing, lazily lifting my gaze, really seeing her for the first time. The transfer student who had made me uneasy from the moment she appeared now smiled at me, a bright, disarming smile that lit up her whole face. Her eyes sparkled like water under the sunset, curving into the kind of smile that could make a dull classroom feel golden. My heart skipped, stuttered, and raced all at once. But alongside confusion, there was a sharp edge of annoyance I couldn't shake. Everything started to feel off. Even a usually strict homeroom teacher, who valued distance between boys and girls, surprisingly agreed to Sophia's plan. Makoto, ever the studious type, turned from the front row just to tease me. His mocking gaze darted between Sophia and me, lewd and knowing, as if we were part of some secret story only he could see. I glanced at Willow, sitting a few rows ahead, and it felt like a thin gray veil had fallen over her. She seemed dimmer, shadowed. Before I could focus on her any longer, Sophia had already claimed the seat, playfully announcing, "New desk partner. Please take care of me from now on." My jaw tightened. Take care of her? Not a chance. As she moved to sit, I stood abruptly, lifting my desk and carrying it toward the front row. "Teacher," I said casually, though my pulse was racing, "I feel my focus has been off lately. I'd like to sit by the teacher's desk, so I can concentrate better." Everything felt strange. Off. The only place I could find comfort was near Willow. Once my desk was set, I turned to her, asking softly, "Will I be blocking your view of the blackboard?" She blinked, lost in thought, and for a moment, her long lashes fluttered like delicate feathers, stirring something deep inside me. That was it. That was a feeling of truly falling for someone. The sudden, undeniable quickening of your heartbeat. And when I looked at her again, the gray veil I thought I'd seen earlier was gone. Just my imagination. Or maybe hope. After class, Willow tapped my back gently. "George," she said, her voice soft and hesitant, "are you serious about what you said this morning? About wanting to take the university entrance exam with me?" Her fingers curled nervously over her desk, her ears flushing a delicate pink. I nodded, earnest. "I'm serious. You've always been my ultimate goal." She frowned, concern flickering across her face. "But the university I want has a very high cutoff score, so I'll have to work harder," I said firmly, leaving no doubt. "The climb will be tough, but the view from the top will make it worth it." Her tension eased slightly, though her eyes lingered on me, hesitant, as if wanting to say more, but holding back. I leaned closer, teasing lightly. "Got anything else to say? Say it all at once. Then we can get Teacher Lou to help." Her smile, faint but genuine, made the dimples on her cheeks appear, and I couldn't help but grin back. In that moment, the classroom didn't just brighten. It felt like the sun itself had poured in, filling every corner of my world. And then in the warm sunlight, she made her quiet, trembling request. "Could you please not get too close to Sophia?" My smile froze. For the first time, I was completely at a loss. Jealous? Of Sophia? I'll admit it. I'm a coward sometimes. Even though I've known Willow for years, imagining that she might feel the same for me has always been impossible. The only time I dared think about it was that ordinary, unforgettable night. When the moon hung quietly, my father passed out drunkenly in the living room, and the stench of alcohol seeped into every corner. That night, everything changed inside me, though I didn't yet know it. I looked up and saw her, Willow, standing across the street, her face blooming like a flower in the evening light. She was playing with a sensitive plant on a windowsill, her fingers teasing each shy leaf like a mischievous child, making them curl up as if responding to her little game. Her dimples appeared with her smile, lighting up her innocent, fair face. And just like that, the heaviness in my chest, the tension from my fight with my father, melted into the soft evening breeze. I couldn't help it. My own lips curved into a smile. Somewhere in the back of my mind, a wild thought took root. What if her fingers touched me the way they did the plant? Her watery, clear eyes meeting mine, a slow smile spreading across her face as her hand grazed me lightly. It was only imagination, yet for a heartbeat, it felt real. My heartstrings trembled under the invisible touch, sending shivers up my spine. I swallowed hard, flustered, unable to meet her gaze. Turning away, I caught a glimpse of my own red face in the mirror by my bed, my heart drumming like a relentless drumbeat in my ears. And then it hit me. I was done for. Not maybe, definitely done. Because every little thing Willow did, every look and gesture, pointed to one undeniable truth. She was jealous. Jealous of Sophia. The revelation struck me like a hammer, leaving me dazed. Waves of secret joy surged through me, like a tide threatening to drown me in its intensity. But then she spoke, her voice calm yet firm. If you're unwilling, then our agreement is off. Unwilling? Who could be unwilling now? I forced the joy down, wrapping it carefully in the gentle, warm mask I always wore. Swallowing the thrill, I steadied my voice and said, "Okay, I won't talk to her." And just like that, a weight seemed to lift from her shoulders. Willow returned to her usual bright, lively self, her smile radiant once more. "Then it's settled," she said. "We'll meet at C University 1 year from now." 1 year from now. The words felt like a promise etched into time, a phrase so simple yet so beautiful. My future with Willow, it was finally ours, if only for now. But of course, life doesn't wait for our plans. Before the future could arrive, Sophia stormed into my world like a whirlwind. Love letters, subtle confessions, none of that compared to her. From the moment she appeared, it seemed like she had only one goal. Me, across the classroom, she would stare. During breaks, she'd knit me scarves or bring me breakfast, arriving late just to make sure I had it in hand. She followed me, chattered endlessly about trivial things, yet smiled through all my cold indifference. No matter how I tried to push her away, she clung to me, bright and unrelenting, like a piece of chewing gum you just can't shake off. And slowly, the faint gray veil I had once imagined over Willow returned, clouding her light. The gentle, hard-working girl I loved seemed dimmer, slipping from her usual top ranks, losing sleep night after night. Anxiety shadowed her quiet diligence, all because Sophia existed in my orbit. I sensed it, the tug of her energy, and found myself drawn to it, even as my heart ached for Willow. That evening, during self-study, I faltered. Willow's disappointed gaze followed me as I skipped class, taking Sophia up the mountain to run, to escape, to feel alive. Willow's hand grabbed my sleeve, her head tilting in quiet defiance. "Are you sure you want to skip school, Sophia?" she asked. I couldn't meet her eyes. I simply handed back the workbook she had carefully made for me. That was all the answer she needed. The mountain at night became our world. The wind tore through our jackets, whipping around us as if shaking free all restraint. We reached the top, the city lights sparkling below like scattered jewels. Sophia spread her arms, embracing the howling wind, and turned to me, eyes bright. "How about it?" she asked. "Isn't this better than burying your nose in books all day?" I let a lazy smile curl my lips. Freedom tasted sweet, intoxicating. "Admit it," Sophia said, her voice playful yet serious. "This is the real you. This is the life you should be living." And in that moment, with the wind in our hair and the city laid out beneath us, I couldn't argue. She was right. I watched Sophia approach, each step deliberate. Her face set with that same determined expression she wore the day she first transferred, a confidence that had only grown over time. She tilted her head slightly, her gaze sharp and piercing, and said, "You've always been a wild creature of the mountains. So why hide that? Why pretend to be a harmless, gentle bird?" Her words were bold, teasing, and a little dangerous. What's the point of clinging to someone boring and traditional like Willow, George? She only loves the mask you wear. Only I see the real you. With me, you can be yourself completely, unapologetically. She stood on tiptoe, her long, elegant neck stretching, the line of her jaw graceful in the fading light. And in that instant, something inside me stirred. Impulsively, I reached out and grabbed her by the neck, not harshly, but enough to make my point. A wild creature of the mountains, huh? Well, that's a creature that bites. My voice grew hard as I continued, tightening my fingers just slightly, my words deliberate. You ignored my advice. You kept intruding into my studies, into my life, over and over again. I've never had much patience. For others, Sophia, if it weren't for Willow, if she didn't need to see the gentle side of me, I would have acted the moment I found out you were trying to isolate her. I paused, letting the weight of my words settle. Being polite doesn't work with you. You need to understand boundaries. You need to know restraint. Sophia's face flushed a deep red, her stubbornness still evident. Think back to tonight, George, the thrill of racing up the mountain with me. You won't feel that excitement with Willow. She's rigid, constrained. Only I see the real you. She didn't know me, not really, but I knew what true salvation meant. I had lived it, breathed it, and suffered for it. From the earliest memories of my childhood, I was a burden in my mother's eyes, a weight she couldn't carry, a chain she couldn't escape. Every time she tried to leave, my cries would shatter her plans. Until, at 5 years old, I stopped crying. I watched her leave, never once looking back. That night, my father's rage fell on me instead. Pinned against the door, punched, kicked, left alone in the pitch-black room. Cold seeped into my bones, the sting of his blows mingling with the emptiness of my mother's absence. The world seemed to conspire against me. Children laughed, life tormented, and slowly I hardened. Bitterness built, shaping the edges of who I would become. And then Willow moved in next door. Her grandmother pulled her out of misery, a small difference that shouldn't have mattered, yet it did. Her presence, her warmth, became a quiet anchor in my storm. I couldn't resist it. I stopped her on the street one day, trying to coax her into my world, into games, into a little freedom. "Hey, come with me," I said. She shook her head, but when she walked past, she tugged me along by my backpack. "Come with me to school," she said. That day I listened, really listened. For the first time, I felt the thrill of being praised, of being noticed. When I followed her home in secret, I wanted to tell her I had done well, but I couldn't. And she stopped me anyway, smiling, saying, "Today your teacher praised you. Imagine if you tried a little more. You could even top the class." It was a lie, of course, but it lit something inside me. Hope, fragile and bright, guided me through the darkness. Because of her, I worked, I struggled, I clawed my way into a prestigious high school. Willow had opened a gate, rusty and old, letting light in where there had only been shadows. And Sophia? She indulged my wild side, encouraged laziness, wrapped my rebellion in a cloak of salvation. But I already had a guiding light. How could I be tempted by a firefly flickering by the roadside? A wild beast of the mountains doesn't need another wild thing. It needs a hand to tame it. Without that, it'll lash out, hurt, and eventually perish. I loosened my grip, slightly, knowing the truth of what I had to protect. I straightened my arm, pushing Sophia a full step away, staring at her like she'd lost her mind. "Save your drama," I muttered under my breath. "I've already climbed out of the mud and found my little son." My words were sharp, deliberate. The excitement you talk about, the thrill of youth, that's wasted on me. I have my own path, my own goals. And those so-called boring studies, they're my choice. Stop comparing yourself to Willow. She's diligent, hard-working, always better than you. Stay on your sunny path, Sophia. Don't cross mine. It sounded like a warning meant to sever ties completely. But deep down, I knew words alone weren't enough. I had taken risks already, pretending to play along, skipping class with her, and there was still something far more pressing I needed to face tonight. When we reached the mountaintop, I pulled a hemp rope from my backpack, tied her carefully to a tree. Sophia struggled, twisting and muttering, her dark eyes scanning the empty expanse around us. "Damn it," she hissed. "Has George really left me here alone?" But there was no fear in her voice, none of the trembling or panic I'd expect from someone abandoned in such a desolate place. Instead, determination lit her expression. "I've made up my mind," she said aloud, teeth gritted. "I'll tap into the power of the plot. The female lead can only be me. No matter the cost, this mission won't fail." I barely had time to react. Almost immediately, it felt as though some invisible force had taken control, pushing me forward. My heart raced as I saw her, not from my own perspective, but as if watching myself from above, the gentle expression I reserved only for Willow softening as I untangled her ropes, drawing her into my arms. In the blind spot of my vision, I caught the corner of her lips curling into a smug, self-satisfied smile. She leaned against me, playful, teasing, half complaint, half seduction. You hurt me when you grabbed me earlier, and now you tied me up? Goosebumps prickled my arm, yet I couldn't help but soothe her gently. Hours later, we arrived home. Willow stood by the roadside, holding the workbook I had returned to her, the late autumn air carrying a sharp bite of winter. Her nose was red, yet she waited patiently, eyes lighting up the moment she saw me. "George, you're back." If this had been any other time, her warmth might have made me smile. But not tonight. My response was distant, detached. Willow faltered, confusion flickering across her face. What does what you wrote in the workbook mean? I had scribbled a hurried note while Sophia distracted herself. "I'll explain everything when I get back." But the invisible hand of fate, or perhaps the power of the plot, was pushing me, twisting my expression into something cruel, teasing. I smirked lightly. "You really thought I was just playing with you?" Willow's mouth opened in disbelief. Her eyes, wide and watery, shattered piece by piece. She whispered, trembling, "George, are you going to break our promise?" "Yes," I answered without hesitation. "I don't want my only youth wasted on boring studies." Her silence was cold, her nod stiff. "Okay, I understand." She let those words fall, dropped the workbook in her hands, and sent it flying, perfectly, into the trash can. Pain pierced my chest sharply, then vanished as quickly as it had come. Only two truths echoed in my mind. Willow hates broken promises, and she's going to hate me more than anyone else in the world. After that night, Willow and I became strangers, passing each other, never exchanging a glance, never sharing a word. Meanwhile, Sophia and I grew inseparable. Her stubborn determination to drag me back to the reckless, wild version of myself only intensified. She believed with unshakable certainty that freedom, youth, and rebellion were salvation. "No one can resist living their own life," she told me one night, eyes ablaze. "If someone does, it's because they've never tasted fearless, colorful youth. One day, George, you'll regret not meeting me sooner." The irony was sharp, bitter, and impossible to ignore. Sophia, the one who had promised I could be myself, was the very force pulling me away from the life I had chosen. In our senior year, when everyone else buried themselves in books, in the pursuit of exams and futures, she dragged me into indulgence, into reckless pleasure that didn't belong to someone our age. Slowly, I felt myself slipping, losing sight of the goals I'd once set, watching my life drift past like sand to my fingers, powerless to stop it. I told myself it was the power of the plot Sophia had spoken about, but anger alone couldn't free me. Then came the first warning I could not ignore. Willow fainted in class. The doctors claimed it was stress, the pressure of our final year, but I knew better. The gray mist that had hovered around her, subtle and quiet, began to thicken, deepening into a heavy, suffocating black. Day by day, I watched her fade. The flush in her cheeks vanished, her weight dropping, the vibrancy I had always loved slipping away. My chest tightened, my heart pounded, but my body, my eyes, my hands, my voice refused to act. I could only watch, helpless, as Sophia's presence demanded my focus. By the winter solstice, it had reached its peak. The black mist engulfed her completely. Willow collapsed in the classroom during evening self-study. And this time, she never woke up. In that instant, the fragility of life became terrifyingly real. A flower that had just opened in the morning could wilt by afternoon, leaving only bare branches. My heart felt as though it had been sliced open by cold, unfeeling scissors. Winter settled deep inside me, chilling my soul. And beside me, Sophia's laughter rang out, triumphant and cruel. "Ha! This is the price of defying me," she said, a twisted smile playing on her lips. I had been wrong. I had thought that as long as Willow survived, I could find a way to escape the control of the plot. But the truth hit me like a frozen wave. From the very beginning, the world and Sophia never intended to let Willow go. And if that was the case, no one would walk away unscathed. Through the careless words Sophia revealed during our time together, I pieced together her truth. She was not of this world, an outsider planted with one purpose: to replace Willow and claim me for herself. The world, naturally protective of its balance, would erase anyone who appeared uninvited. But Sophia had cheated the system, bending fate itself to remain. Willow's death only cemented her triumph. That night, drunk on her victory, Sophia dragged me to a bar. Her voice, half littered with intoxication, softened as she leaned close. "George, you have to be good to me," she murmured. "I bet everything on you. If I fail, they'll punish me." I glanced at the group of thugs, casting hungry glances at her. Their intentions were obvious, and the situation threatened to spiral into disaster. But instinct took over. I pulled Sophia close, daring the men with a single provocative gesture. Fury erupted instantly. One tattooed brute lunged at her, hands greedy, and I acted. A bottle became a weapon, smashing against the first man's head. The second drew a knife, driven by rage and alcohol. I shielded Sophia with my body. Then the blade pierced me, taking each strike with gritted teeth, each stab burning, searing, relentless. The bar erupted in screams and chaos. Yet in that moment, the plot's hold on me faltered. Through the pain, through the blood and fire, I looked at her, panicked, helpless, terrified, and I smiled. Slowly, faintly, target eliminated. Mission failed. Sophia, enjoy the punishment for your failed mission. Her scream cut through the air, raw and desperate. "No!" she cried, but I could do nothing. I had paid with my life, so she might face the consequences of her own choices. And yet it was too late. The future Willow and I should have had, the warmth, the promise, the love, I could never reclaim. I had never even held her, never whispered the words my heart had longed to speak. All that remained was a cold, empty echo of what could have been. The air in my chest felt like it had been sucked out completely, a suffocating weight pressing down, as if the world itself were collapsing on me. And then, suddenly, I gasped awake, lungs heaving, only to meet Sophia's resentful glare fixed on the desk in front of me. My own reflection caught my eye in the glass window, bruised cheekbone, pale and aching, and I realized I was back. Back to the day Sophia first appeared at our school, that day that had started it all. My eyes immediately sought Willow. There she was, head bowed, lost in her work at the front row, the faint blush on her cheeks giving her a fragile, glowing warmth. For a moment, I stared at her greedily, as if just drinking in her presence could anchor me in a world spinning out of control. But then, behind her, unseen, a streak of gray mist slithered, creeping silently, a dark reminder that as long as Sophia existed, Willow would never be safe. I clenched my jaw, pulling my gaze away, and turned to Sophia. Her smile was gone, replaced by a chilling coldness, a ruthless obsession. Perfect. Let's see who will survive this, I thought. Before making any move, I nudged the chair in front of me to tap Makoto on the shoulder. "Hey, class rep, don't you have an instant camera at school?" I asked. His casual reply came. "Yeah, in my drawer. Need it?" After class, I said, "Take a photo of me and Willow." Willow didn't question me. We stood by the classroom door, awkwardly smiling into the camera, like a young couple in some cheesy high school drama, the retro filter softening everything. I handed the single photo to her. "You keep it. I'm a rough guy. I'll probably lose it soon." She nodded, taking it gently, a silent promise forming between us. But downstairs, Sophia waited, her cheek following closely, relentless and unforgiving. Once again, the plot's force dragged me into her small, suffocating world. Her anger radiated like fire. "You think you're so noble," she spat, "sacrificing for Willow's sake. You think that makes you impressive?" Bound by her manipulations, I couldn't even argue. She continued, a mocking twist curling her lips. "I wanted to make you suffer, one piece at a time. But seeing you, I've changed my mind. I can't wait to see your face when Willow suffers." A knock at the door interrupted her tirade. "I brought you a gift," a voice said. Sophia smirked, turning the doorknob, but Willow stood there, backlit by the dim streetlights, holding something in her hands. Before Sophia could react, Willow swung it with precision, and the sound of its striking skull echoed through the room. Sophia staggered, toppling to the floor. Seizing the moment, Willow rushed to me. eyes wild, ears flushed, a fire burning in her gaze. She cupped my face with both hands. "George, I know your body isn't under your control right now, but there's no other way." And then she kissed me. Soft, deliberate, like a dragonfly skimming across water. I froze, not with fear, but with the weight of a long-held wish finally coming true. Willow, sensing hesitation, kissed me again. My mind exploded with 1,000 fireworks, dazed and dizzy. Then I looked across the room and my blood ran cold. The gray mist that always clung to Willow now swirled around Sophia, thickening into black shadows, almost consuming her. Could this really be the way to stop her? As the first kiss broke the restraints holding me, my hands moved on their own, one cradling the back of Willow's head, the other holding her close against me. And for the first time in what felt like an eternity, the world narrowed to the two of us, heartbeats echoing together. The night outside forgotten, the danger looming, but powerless against the force of what was happening right here, right now. I stepped forward again, blocking her path without thinking. Willow hummed softly, confused, but the sound didn't even register. I was too caught up in the thunder of my own heartbeat to hear anything else. By the time it was over, the room felt strange, suspended in a kind of quiet aftershock. One figure lay motionless on the floor, vanquished by fate. Two others stood facing each other, cheeks flushed, avoiding each other's gaze, suspended in a tension neither dared to break. I scratched my head, trying to play it cool. Feels like there's still some kind of physical restraint, like it wasn't completely undone. Is that the case? I asked, pretending to be clueless. Finally, Willow looked up. Her gaze wasn't warm, not yet, but it was alive, vibrant, unmistakably Willow. Still, a hint of awkwardness lingered, and I had to turn away from the memory of our lips almost glued together. I asked a question I couldn't hold back. How did you know that a kiss could erase Sophia? Willow pursed her lips, calm but resolute. "I knew from a dream," she said, her voice steady. "A dream about Sophia in my past life. Back then, I saw that you'd slowly give in to her temptations, drift from your studies, and we'd part ways after the summer following senior year. At first, I didn't fully believe it, but then it happened exactly like the dream predicted, until I died and came back. That's when the dream was finally complete." She continued, her words grounding reality and fantasy into one fragile truth. "The world we live in is like a novel. You and I were the main characters. Sophia, she's a book crosser, a foreign force trying to interfere with our story. The world system isn't perfect. It judges who belongs here by actions. Whoever you grow closer to will erase the other." I glanced at Sophia's body lying still on the floor and asked quietly, "What do we do with her?" In the end, like a story unwritten, her existence vanished, gone without a trace, leaving no proof she had ever been here at all. Willow and I returned to our senior year, busy, chaotic, but somehow fulfilling. Knowing we were the main characters in a world that felt impossibly alive didn't change the hard truth. Nothing came easy. We still had to fight for every step, every exam, every dream. And yet, even thinking about it, the thought of being her male lead made my chest tighten with happiness. That night, before plunging back into physics problems, I asked her quietly, "Can I have that photo of us from that day?" She shook her head. "No," she said. I pressed, curious. "Why not?" She smiled softly, teasing. "I'm afraid you'd get so distracted you wouldn't study. And, well, that wouldn't be good for you." I sighed, defeated but secretly thrilled, imagining the day the college entrance exam would be over, when I could finally confess without fear. Later, after we had officially gotten together, I tried asking for the photo again. This time, I thought I had the upper hand. But Willow, with that mischievous spark I loved so much, said again, "No." "Why?" I asked, stubborn. Her answer was simple, teasing, and deadly effective. "Because you kissed the photo on the way here, and that's embarrassing." My ears burned with the memory of junior high, when I had done exactly that and gotten caught. I opened my mouth to argue, but she cut me off with a smile that melted everything. "Kissing a photo is embarrassing, but kissing me? That won't be." And just like that, the battle was over. I was defeated, utterly and completely. My protest silenced by a single perfect smile. The flag I'd raised in defiance crumbled into ruins, and I didn't even care.